Any changes to the agenda? Have a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion.
All in favor? Approval of the minutes regular meeting August 10th. Have a motion for that.
Motion.
Second. Second, wait a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. We've got other comments, I think, about here. What you say?
Okay, so I met with Angela Peterman and actually Amy C. They came by my office today. So Amy's in the process of moving things in the office. She's met with staff. Everybody seems to be real excited. And I met with her because she wasn't, well, I met with her to talk to Amy and some other things about DSS and her going ahead and moving in. But also she informed us that she's teaching, Angie is, teaching at college, I guess Western or Southwestern, and she's in a class tonight, she won't be here. So I had her meet with me and go over just a couple of things on the report so that I could provide you what information was there, and we'll go from there, which should include programmatic updates. But that said, if you'll go to I only have a couple things really to talk about real quickly with you guys, and then if you read anything else over, if there's questions that I cannot answer, I will certainly get those answers for you, and you can take this report along with you. The first item of the new director for ABC beginning in September, and this is something I'm sure Becky probably can speak to, is with the financing update, who can sign representative payee cases. So we'll have to reflect that the board approves these people that you see named there to be able to sign checks or sign these payee requests for these cases, and it has to be in the minutes of the report. Becky, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So you have Amy C., Melissa Blevins, Carolyn Chickalilly, Tiffany Phillips, Pam Jenkins, Shannon Eller, Stephanie Adams, Michelle Preston, Becky Garth.
We need to go ahead and approve that.
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion to approve this. Sign. Bill made a motion. William made a motion too. All in favor? Unanimous.
All right, then, some of the other things, as you can see, the year-to-date reimbursement rate for August, 74, a little over 74%. For federal and state, a little over 25%. We have several vacancies for which we are recruiting, which was another item that she wanted to bring the board's attention. And it does say on the paperwork you have one adult MA supervisor. It says 3 foster care social workers, but it's actually 2. They filled the position. Then 1 assessment social worker, the food and drug nutritional services worker, and then an adult MA income maintenance. 6 positions. So, like she said, they are actively recruiting, and all those positions have been advertised for. And I'm happy to note there are some applications for some of these positions. So, I don't know if we'll do it. I'll probably text with Ken to see if she wants to handle that when she gets back next week.
Some of them have to be sent home.
Yeah, I know that we've gotten back 1 or 2 that have been approved by the state vetted wise. So from there we'll look at scheduling interviews with Angie or Amy as well. But in another note, again, those are some of the things that we discussed today with Angie and Amy, and very excited. She's very excited about coming on board. Angie's interaction with the rest of the staff, they're actually excited to know that somebody is coming on board, and Amy does know a couple of people that are working here and has worked with them before. So there's a lot of positives coming out of that interaction. And really the only other thing would be a couple of the item takeaways is just our cases. When I talked to Amy about our cases, she said this is actually a really, really good report for our area, knowing that she can deal with some of the cases in Swain County that might have 45 cases that are open. This is actually, it looks like a pretty, really good report. So if there's no questions, that is all I have. And again, if there's something you'd like for me to look at or go over or ask questions of Angie, I will be glad to do that and send a response.
It looks about the same.
There's really been very little change, John, since you said.
Jason, I couldn't hear you exactly on the supervision that needs to be filled. I heard one was adult maintenance.
You know what I didn't do? I didn't turn on the speaker system.
You didn't turn the speakers on. I'm almost got my well out there. Me and Lynn got a mic, but it ain't helping.
It's not, I've got mine on, but it's not helping. I forgot to turn this.
I can hear, but I don't know if I lost signal for just a second. But you said there was adult income maintenance and then another.
You got one open adult MA supervisor,
Okay.
2 foster care social workers,
Social work, okay.
1 assessment social worker, an FNS worker or food and nutrition service worker, 1, and an adult in a IMC, 1 position.
Okay.
Let me, if you guys will turn your mics off, I'll turn this system on, please.
Okay.
Ready, go.
Kim's got the kid, but
Yeah, that's my bad. Sorry about that. It's my fault. I tried to get everything prepared. There was the one thing I missed.
everybody moves over around the pond.
That's my fault. All right. So, under new business, or unless there's any old DSS, I want to make your attention to a couple of things. It's not DSS related, and I don't think it needs to be discussed in closed. So if we can, if there's no other DSS business, I'll go into that before we go to closed.
We don't have no closed session.
We've got one closed item, right, Becky?
I mean,
Yeah.
we ain't got no previous manager that can vote on that.
Not to my knowledge. I don't think we did close last time.
Have we got anything else for DSS, anybody?
I have a budget amendment I need to, get passed. I didn't get a chance to put it on paper, but, DSS got a, $12,000 grant from VIA Help to help with, family reunification and foster care. And then they also got some additional money for IT equipment. If I could just have the board approve that, then we can add those line items in.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this budget amendment? Jason made the motion. Lynn second. All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay, and I will bring the actual, document to the board meeting hopefully next week. I'm hoping I won't be in quarantine. And, I'll send it to Jason for signature.
Okay. Now, any more DSS business? Have a motion to adjourn DSS meeting. They'll make a motion. If we got adjourned this meeting, or wait till we get done with that business.
We're going into closed session and talking about.
Well, we've got a couple things to discuss in just a regular session. I thought we could do a new business, but if you want to open a, you got this meeting.
We'll just leave the DSS meeting open before we get done.
Yeah.
We're done with the DSS business now.
That's right. Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah.
Other business.
Yeah, other business, that's right. If you'll notice the email, that's cost estimate for well replacement. I want to bring everybody up to speed on this. I got a phone call, and Becky's familiar with this as well too. She probably started before I took over. As you know, there were monitoring wells over there by the Texaco at the time. I guess it's the 76, whatever they call it this month, for the spill that they had. Well, a project was entered into with agreement from the sheriff's office and Adams Contracting to put that impound lock. Well, they covered 2 wells when they put that impound lock, which I didn't know existed and didn't have anything to do with the project. It was already awarded and under construction before I knew it. So, long story short, this is the quote I said. I met with the guy out there and explained the situation. It's a North Carolina DEQ requirement. Those wells were put in, were not by our cost. We didn't have to put those in.
They're in our wells.
Yeah, they're not our wells. But now somebody's going to have to put the cost of this because the sheriff's office did contract Grant and them, and they apparently there was some conversation about them being wells there, but nobody was shown where they were. And so potentially with those wells being, as when I talked to them about those wells being covered, if anybody did any scraping of any kind of topsoil when they put all that dirt in, which they pretty much most of the time do, it's destroy the top of them. You can't reuse those wells. They're about $3,830 a piece. This covers, you see the costs and expenses for 2 wells. So I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention if, do we want to get into that with going back and forth with, the sheriff is with us, do we want to look at how we want to approve, go ahead and foot the bill because it was put in by the sheriff's office. I went over and spoke to Rance about it. There was nobody really showed them where any of that was. It was mentioned, and they met over there that day, and they put the lot in, went forward with that contract they reached with the sheriff's office. It has to be, it's going to have to be done. It's. I think these were 4-inch, if I'm not mistaken. Talking to this Robert Martin with the engineering firm. They handle all of this. They handle bringing people out. No, it'll be back out around, probably behind them. Probably a couple of places around it so they can still monitor it before it gets to the creek. One was at the edge over near where the power was, and one was right at the back of the lot where the dirt was. They figured that when they had the surveyor couldn't find him. They had a surveyor come out and try to find him. He couldn't find him. And so it was probably enough dirt put in and scraped off that they destroyed the top of the caps. So we probably, even if you could find them, you probably can't reuse them. It would cost us. They tried a metal detector and they could not find him. The surveyor did. According to, I wasn't there, I didn't witness it. This is what I was being told. Because we were going to try every way in the world to find him without having to foot the expense. That's what he said. By the time you got somebody out there to dig and try to put the repair on, you'd have $3,000. He lifted it up quite a bit. When you go over and look at it, go to the back side of it, they lift quite a bit.
5 feet.
It's at least that, 5 feet from the back. We figured 5 feet from the back is where that wellhead probably was. Yeah.
Our insurance not covered it?
That's something I think we should check into before we write a check and then to see.
If I was the insurance company, I wouldn't pay.
I wouldn't either.
Because technically they county wells. We give that out their permission to put them on our property. Because of the covenant of gas leak, which contaminated our land. Now we're going to turn around and have to pay another $7,600 for a gas leak that ruined our land.
Yep.
We ain't getting a damn dime.
Yep. We didn't have to do it to begin with, but because it got covered by the sheriff's office. Oh, we did.
We refused to do it till covenant found to sign that land over.
Oh, okay.
And the state of North Carolina, and whoever called in here, and if we didn't let them put the wells on that property, then the county was going to have to pay for all that.
That's crazy. We got kind of done it to us both ways there.
So it rubbed me a little raw.
Yeah, I wasn't, I mean, honestly, I wasn't pleased about the fact the project didn't come through us to begin with, to be honest, but we are where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, they had every bit of it done before anybody knew. Yeah, I think they came to you guys and said, can we make some changes, but then they didn't go through a separate procurement or anything. Every bit of that should have been bid off or quoted, and, they had every bit done before we even knew it was done.
So, just want some direction from the board, how they want me to proceed.
We have to pay it. It's not their budget.
That was my suggestion, you know, their budget cost.
Taxpayers, $7600.
Something that didn't really need to happen. They could have potentially sleeved those wells where they were.
The fact is, somebody had that conversation with me, they were out there. And evidently didn't take time to mark them or try to locate them or start moving further. There's no different point.
Yeah.
Except this would be.
Unfortunately.
So what do we want to do?
Jerry said, we can tell him, well, we can have to put it really well on the other side of you. The wells is monitoring and groundwater. Now, we all said here, got no sense, none of the wells on down on the creek is the one that they've been monitoring up when it rains, and water goes to the creek. Yeah, I get the gas that would burn out of the creek there, it's coming out of the drain, out of the creek line, wherever the house. So,
Saturated right there.
so we're gonna,
That's not stopping the time first.
okay, we're gonna try to listen, talk to Jay about it.
Okay. The next item is just basically a formality. The slab quotes for the two metal buildings. You'll see a quote from Tim Priestman's company. For each building, London Contracting, and for Clay Lovelace. And on both projects, as you see, Clay Lovelace is the low bid. So I would ask the board recommend to approve the low bidder on both projects and award these contracts for the slabs.
Have a motion to approve the city plan, low bid with the low price. Make a motion. Have a second. Yeah. Later, make a second. All in favor? Unanimous.
All right. That's all I have. We're close. That's all I have. Oh,
So we got some other items.
we should have, I know Becky has one and I might have one I want to run by you too. It's a small thing. I'm not happy about it.
Okay, motion to go in and close under GS, whatever, all that big number is, you ain't got to look at.
It's item number 8.
Great.
Okay. Got a motion?
Yeah. But make a motion in a second.
Lynn made a motion, Bill made a second, go in and close, all in favor? We're in close.